Hi, my name's Katie. I'll be your tutor today. Yeah. So what are we going to be going over? Your grammar class with Dr. King. Okay. Yeah, I took that class last semester. It's kind of difficult. It's okay. Gets better. Okay. So I have with me my notebook so we can work through some problems together. And the book for that class, Doing Grammar, has all these little diagrams of sentences. It's kind of what you're doing, isn't it? Yeah? Alright, we'll work through some of those. And then a folder with some examples that we can work through. And my pencil bag. Okay, so let me get out a pencil. And we'll start writing some things down. So, what is your name? Okay. And your student ID number? Perfect. Okay, and then I'll just write down the time that we're starting. And I'll write down when you clock out, and then I can send that information to your professor just so they know that you're coming to tutoring to get some extra help. Yeah, I went to tutoring when I was in this class too. It's one of those things, like, you don't really take grammar classes in high school, maybe a little bit here and there in your English classes, but not specifically like a grammar class. And then in college, you don't really get that at all unless you're an English major like you are, so it can be really challenging for a lot of people. Yeah. Alright, so what was the assignment that you wanted to go over? Okay, so it's page 49 through 50, and then 1 through 25. Okay, we're not going to do all of those today. We'll just take a look at some of the ones that you've already practiced on, and then I'll show you some from the book, and we can go through those together. Sound good? Great. Okay, so let's open the book up. And take a look at some of those problems. Okay, here we go. Looking at page 49 and 50. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're going to be diagramming these sentences. So I'll show you kind of what the book does a little bit. This is on page 47. So this is a diagram that the book gives you. So you have a sentence down here, and then you have to identify what each word is. So in this one, we have the senator called up the stairs. Okay, so the is an article, senator is a noun, called is an intransitive verb. So we're kind of looking at the verb types in this particular assignment. Up is a preposition, the is another article, and stairs is a noun. So then what it's doing is it's diagramming each of these sentences into little sections until finally you get the full sentence. So let's see, the stairs is a noun phrase, and then adding together that preposition up the stairs makes it a prepositional phrase, and then adding called makes it a verb phrase, which is your predicating verb, and then the senator is another noun phrase that ends up being your subject, and then when you put those together, you get a sentence. Does that all kind of make sense and fit together? Okay, so it sounds like you've been studying and you kind of understand what each of those things means. Do you have any questions about any of that? Yeah, okay, so let's work through one together. So we'll look at, let's see, let me see what I have in this folder. All right, so I have some examples here. So these are ones that I've worked through for this tutoring session. I have quite a few, so we can look at any that you think you might have an issue with. So let's turn back to page 49. So are there any on 49 that you'd like to look at? Sure, okay. So let's look at number 5. Number 5 reads, sagebrush, carpets, western terrain. Sagebrush, carpets, western terrain. Sagebrush, carpets, western terrain. Okay, so a good way to do these is to divide your page into 3 different sections, because these can take up a lot of space on the page. So if you just go ahead and divide your paper into different sections, I'll do the same on mine. Awesome. So we're going to be looking at, which one was it? I can't remember. Number 5. Okay. So I'm just going to write 5 right here. You can do this however you want. If you're doing it like along with me, or if you've already done this one, you can choose to number your pages differently, but I'm just going to write down the ones that we're working on. So what I'll do is I'm going to write at the bottom part, I'm going to write the sentence. So sagebrush, carpets, western terrain. Okay. So first, let's identify each of the parts of the sentence. So sagebrush is a noun, that's right. And then carpets, all right, that's the verb. Do you know what type of verb that is? Okay, so it's transitive. You think it's transitive? Yeah, let's read about a transitive verb here in the book. So it says, transitive verbs are followed by noun phrases that function as direct objects. So let's see. Sagebrush, carpets, western terrain. So western is going to be an adjective, right? And then terrain, another noun. Perfect. So we can see that western terrain, when we put that together, what does that make? Right? A noun phrase. And here's the key. What do you think, or can you identify what that noun phrase is acting as? A direct object. Perfect. Yeah. So I'm going to write D-O-B-J for direct object. So now you can see that we have that direct object. So what did we say about about transitive verbs? That they're followed by noun phrases that function as direct objects. So you are correct. It is a transitive verb, so you can put a T next to that V. Okay, perfect. Now, let's see if we can add carpets to the Western terrain noun phrase to make it a verb phrase, correct? So it's a verb phrase. And what do we call that? Predicating verb. Perfect. Awesome. And then there's only one word left in the sentence. And what would you consider sagebrush to be in this sentence? Subject. Yep. So now that we have our predicating verb and our subject, we can combine those to make a sentence. So here we go. Sagebrush carpets Western terrain. And we've taken all of the parts of that sentence and we have created its structure. Good job. Okay, so that was number 5. So let's see, are there any others you want to go over on page 49? Okay, number 2? Sure. So number 2 reads, a dancer's body is her living voice. A dancer's body is her living voice. Okay, so let's write that at the bottom of that section. So a dancer's body is her living voice. Perfect. Now can you identify what each of those words are in that sentence? Okay. Yeah, we can look at it together for sure. Okay, so a is an article. Yeah, all of those words, like, I don't know, like a and let me see, the, like a and the and stuff, those are what we call articles. Yeah, so those are pretty easy to identify. Okay, and then a dancer's. So this one's a little complicated. Dancers is actually a possessive noun. So it is a noun, which you already knew, but it is possessive because she owns her body. Okay, and then body is just a noun. Is, what type of verb is that? Yeah, it's a be verb. So be verbs are verbs like is and are, and those are really easy to choose or like pick out of a sentence as well. Okay, her living voice, right? You're correct. So just like possessive noun, dancers was a possessive noun. Her is a possessive pronoun. Living, adjective, and what does that describe? Voice, correct. And voice is a noun. Awesome. Okay, so this one is pretty simple once you identify all of those parts. So we can connect living voice into a noun phrase. Awesome. And then connect her into another noun phrase. Okay. And what is this noun phrase? I'm not sure. It's actually a predicating noun. So go ahead and write P-R-E-D-N. And then we can add the verb is, which is the be verb, which is a verb phrase. And what one is that? Predicating. Correct. And then a dancer's body is also going to be a noun phrase in itself, which makes it the subject. All right, and then you have your subject and your predicating verb, and you can connect those to make a sentence. Perfect. You're doing awesome. I was not this quick when I took the class the first time, so definitely kudos to you. Okay, so let's move to page 50 and see if there are any more examples that we want to go over. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, yeah, we can do that one for sure. So let's look at number 14. And it reads, spring is hiking season in Idaho. Spring is hiking season in Idaho. So I'll write that down. Spring is hiking season in Idaho. Perfect. So let's identify each of those words. Spring is a noun. Is, we just did one like that, a be verb. Hiking is it is a noun, but it's describing season. So what does that make it? An adjective as well. So a noun, adjective, and then season is a noun, yep. In is a preposition, and then Idaho is a noun. Perfect. Okay, so let me see here. Looks like in Idaho, you're going to be able to connect and make a prepositional phrase, because in is a preposition. And this is actually called an adverbial. So because it's in Idaho, it's considered an adverbial of time and place. So ADVT/P. So adverbial of time and place. Perfect. Okay. And then hiking season can be combined to make a noun phrase. And that's the predicating noun. And then we can combine is to that prepositional phrase over on the end to make a verb phrase, which is predicating. And then we'll look at spring, which is your subject, correct? And then you can combine spring, which is your subject, and your predicating verb phrase to make a sentence. So this is what we have now. All three of these sentences are diagrammed. Okay. Let's flip this page, divide it into 3 again. Minutes. So we have 30 minutes total for your tutoring session. So we can do 1 or 2 more, and then you can ask any other questions you might have. Okay. Yeah, sorry about the cat. That's what these in-home sessions, that's what you get. Okay. So let's look back at page 50. Sorry. Okay. Let's take a look at number 23. Yeah, we can look at 23. Okay, 23. Let me just go to my notes. Okay. 23 reads, Huck is an unreliable narrator. So let's write that down. Do you know what they're talking about? Huckleberry Finn. Huck is an unreliable narrator. Okay, perfect. So let's identify each of these. So Huck, 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 Huck. Now, is another be verb. And it's an article. And then unreliable describes the narrator, so it's an adjective. And then narrator is a noun. Perfect. So unreliable narrator combines to make a noun phrase. Perfect. And then an unreliable narrator can combine to make another noun phrase, which is your predicating noun phrase. Okay, and then once we add the verb, what does that make it? Verb phrase, which is predicating. Perfect. And then Huck is the subject. And bada bing, bada boom, you combine them, and it is a sentence. Okay. So it seems like you're doing really well with all of that information. Do you feel pretty confident? Yeah. Yeah. So, I know that your professor told you guys that you have a quiz on Thursday, is that right? Yeah, I can actually help you. I do have a couple of examples that he gave in class today that he was willing to share with me, so I can help you kind of prepare for that quiz, okay? So let's see here. Okay, so I can tell you that in part 1, it looks like you're going to be identifying different types of verbs. So like intransitive or be verbs, things like that. So definitely take a look at those verbs and just go over what types there are and just be able to identify those. And I know there are going to be 10 of those on your quiz. Okay, next, part 2, you're going to be identifying just the different parts of sentences like we did as the first step to diagramming those sentences today. So you seemed really solid on that, so I'm not worried about that part at all. I think that you really won't need to study too hard for that section. I mean, of course, look over it though, just make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Okay, and then part 3. Okay, he's going to be underlining a part of a sentence, and you're going to have to, it's actually going to be a verb. He's going to be underlining a verb, and you're going to have to identify what type of verb that is. So in the first section, he's not going to be underlining the verb, so you're not going to know like which word is the verb. Does that make sense? You're going to have to identify that yourself. In this one, it's already identified for you. So it's just like the first section, but a little bit simpler because half the work's already done. Okay, so as long as you're solid on the first section, the third section should be no problem. And then part 4 is what we've been doing here today. It's diagramming sentences. Yep, so it's kind of combining all of that information and putting it into like the diagrams that we've been working on today. That makes sense? Yeah. Let's see, so today is Tuesday. And I am available on Thursday morning. I know your quiz is in the afternoon, so if you wanted to come back in on Thursday morning, that would totally be fine. I can jot you down for that if you'd like, or you can just take on studying on your own, and that'd be cool too. You want to come back? So I'm going to write that down here. We're going to write down Thursday. And what time works best for you? 10 a.m.? I like the way you roll. I don't want to have to wake up early in the morning either. Okay, So I'm going to be expecting you on Thursday at 10 a.m. and just bring any questions that you have about the quiz and everything that we went over today, and I'll try to help you the best I can, okay? Yeah, I think you're going to do really well. I think you're doubting yourself. Okay. Well, it was really good talking to you, and I'm excited to see you on Thursday. So, I'll talk to you then.